Hong Kong Police Inspector Ho, and under this severe, relentless interrogation for a string of massive, blood-soaked crimes, Lee just completely breaks down. He's terrified, he insists he's just a pawn in all of this. He claims that this entire sprawling international criminal operation was actually orchestrated by an elusive, cold-blooded crime lord known only in the underworld as the Painter. But you have to wonder, who exactly is this phantom mastermind?
Well, as the interrogation pressure reaches a boiling point, this incredibly prominent artist named Yuan arrives at the station. She brings a high-powered legal team to secure Lee's bail. Now, the police see an opportunity here to catch a much bigger fish, so they offer Lee a deal. If he reveals the painter's true identity to them, they'll put him in witness protection and let him go. Encouraged by Yuan, Lee finally starts talking, and his memories pull us back several years into the deep origins of this dark criminal syndicate.
Okay, part 1, engineering the perfect fake. Let's dive into how this all started. Years earlier, Lee and Yuan were just a struggling couple. But while Yuan had this genuine creative genius, Lee was kind of an unoriginal, insecure copyist. But here's the catch. He had a terrifying ability to perfectly replicate master paintings. Feeling completely overshadowed by his girlfriend's rising career, Lee secretly joined an elite Canadian counterfeiting team run by this so-called painter. Their target? To engineer a flawless forgery of the newly designed, heavily secured United States $100 bill. A nearly impossible task. The sheer, slick precision of this heist is just unbelievable. Lee rapidly broke the operation down into 3 crazy steps. Step 1, he actually used ancient Chinese artistic techniques to hand paint a microscopic watermark across 3 separate layers of split paper. Insane, right? Step 2 was the paper itself. The team discovered the unique paper used by the US government was identical to commercial telephone directory stock, so they just casually purchased 500 tons of it. But Step 3 was the real hurdle. That hurdle was the color-shifting ink. See, the new bills relied on the moire effect. It's a highly restricted visual security feature that makes the ink physically shift from purple to gold when you tilt the bill. Getting their hands on this specific, heavily guarded ink was by far the hardest part of the entire operation. It literally required a violent, military-grade highway ambush on a central bank transport vehicle just to secure a supply. Which brings us to this really staggering number, 7. During that ruthless highway ambush orchestrated to steal the ink, 7 transport guards died. According to Lee's testimony to the police, he was forced into the chaos of this ambush and watched in absolute horror as the painter coldly executed the guards and blew up their reinforcements. Lee claims this was the exact moment he realized he was trapped in a living nightmare.
Part 2, descent into bloodshed. The counterfeit dollars were printed, millions of them, untraceable, perfect fakes. And with that, this operation plunges straight into the criminal underworld, and we see how rapidly a counterfeiting ring transforms into a literal war zone.
The timeline of violence just accelerates so fast here. The painter drags Lee to a remote compound in the Golden Triangle to meet a warlord known as the General. But spoiler alert, it's a trap. Turns out, 7 years prior, the General murdered the painter's father. So what erupts next is a devastating, heavy artillery revenge war. We're talking rocket launchers, massive casualties, the whole shebang. And amidst this burning wreckage, Lee actually manages to rescue a severely burned insurgent woman named Ching. Now look at how rapidly the syndicate spirals completely out of control after that massacre. The painter funds reconstructive surgery for Ching, but he gives her the exact face of Yuan, Lee's former obsession. Meanwhile, the real Yuan is getting married to a man named Look. The escalation is just relentless. A syndicate traitor is executed, an undercover agent is captured, and when Lee hesitates to kill him, the painter steps in and does it. Finally, the painter kidnaps the real Yuan and her fiancé, leading to a violent shootout where Look is murdered, and Lee claims he finally shot and killed the painter in self-defense. All right, part 3, the ultimate betrayal. Let's slow the pacing down for a second. Bring yourself right back to the quiet hum of that police interrogation room. Lee finishes spinning this massive, violent, globe-trotting tale. He completes a highly detailed composite sketch of his phantom tormentor, the painter. His bail is processed, and he literally walks out of the station with Yuan. But just as the dust seems to settle, Inspector Ho notices something impossible.
So the absolutely crucial point here is this. Inspector Ho looks at the sketch Lee just drew, right? And then he looks out into the station. A uniformed police constable just happens to be walking by. The
The face on the sketch perfectly matches this random constable. The police immediately arrests the guy, only to be totally stunned by the realization that he is completely innocent. He was just a passerby Lee saw during his arrest. In a split second, Lee's intricate, masterfully spun story is blown wide open. Part 4, a masterpiece of delusion. This brilliantly illustrates the massive, earth-shattering twist of this entire investigation. Ready for it? There is no shadowy crime lord. There is no phantom pulling the strings. Lee himself is the terrifying, sole mastermind of the carnage. He is the painter. Let's aggressively deconstruct Lee's lies for a minute. In his fabricated story, he played the victim, right? Forced into crime by a mastermind, deeply loved by the beautiful Yuan. But the brutal reality? Lee was the absolute author of the terror. He personally designed the counterfeit bills. He entirely organized the armored car ambush of his own free will. He led the Golden Triangle massacre, and he personally executed the traitors. He literally just used the face of a random cop to create a fictional scapegoat to feed the police.
When you really look at the terrifying toll of Lee's criminal delusion, it is chilling. The 7 bank guards, the warlords in the Golden Triangle, the undercover agents, look, the innocent fiancé. All of this massive destruction, this whole trail of bodies, was caused solely by Lee's own insecurity, his own agency, and his desperate need to build an empire just to compensate for his utter lack of original artistic talent.
But wait, because the investigation uncovers yet another horrifying twist. Remember that prominent artist who came to the police station to bail Lee out? The woman who sat there and encouraged him to speak? That wasn't Yan. It was actually Ching, the burned insurgent Lee had saved in the Golden Triangle. We had Harder surgically altered to look exactly like the Yan he was so pathologically obsessed with. The final gunfight Lee described wasn't against the painter, it was actually a chaotic confrontation between Lee and a deeply jealous Ching. And this leads us right into a truly chilling climax. Following the bailout, Lee and Ching escape on a speedboat into international waters. But Ching has finally realized the devastating truth. Lee will never love her for her true self. He only sees her as this surgical reflection of Yuan. Heartbroken and completely betrayed by the man she turned herself into a monster for, Ching reveals she's been deliberately steering the boat in circles, leaving a trail for the Coast Guard. And before they can be intercepted, she detonates hidden explosives on board, destroying the vessel and killing them both in a fiery flash. Sometime later, Inspector Ho visits the real, actual Yuan to formally close the case. He shows her a photograph of the deceased Lee. Yuan looks at the picture of the man who built an entire global criminal syndicate in her name, and with complete, devastating indifference, she tells the inspector he was merely a neighbor. That's it. The grand romance, the international counterfeiting empire, the mountains of bodies. It was all entirely born from Lee's terrifying, one-sided, completely fabricated delusion. His extraordinary talent literally dissolved into ash over the ocean. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question to end our explainer today. How far can a fabricated reality push someone to destroy everything around them? We've seen how a lack of originality turned into a mastermind's delusion, leaving a trail of innocent blood. It really makes you wonder just how fragile the human mind is and how incredibly dangerous it becomes when it writes its own completely unchecked narrative. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I'll leave you to ponder that chilling reality.